Now, Ogilvy, JWT, BBDO, McCann, Lowe, all the big names of the advertising world have one thing in common. They're all owned by large media conglomerates. These conglomerates ensure that the agencies not only have access to clients, but also global practices, and hence, clients feel very comfortable partnering with them because of the big name that supports them. But what about the small independent agencies? How difficult is it for them to survive without the support of an international network? Well, that's exactly what Julian Boulding was aiming to do when he launched the thenetworkone in 2003. I caught up with him to find out more about the network and how it's been faring so far with independent agencies across the world. Thank you so much for joining us, Julian. Truly a pleasure having you on Brand Equity.
Pleasure's mine. Thank you.
So I want to talk about the thenetworkone. So outside of Europe and, let's say, North America, which regions would you say are the strongest for you in terms of revenue?
I suppose we look at the regions two ways. We look at where does business come from and where does it go to. So where do clients start? So clients still tend to start in the traditional markets. You know, a lot of the Fortune 500 companies are still in the US, about a third, I think, and several are in Europe. But what's really, really interesting now is that new markets start to be added to that.
Yeah.
So there are Chinese companies that are starting to come out of China and not just industrial conglomerates that are owned by the state, but private entrepreneurial companies.
Sure.
And we see Indian companies. I mean, India for us has often been a market that looks quite in at itself. And now as Indian companies start to acquire other global footprint companies, it hasn't stopped being the origins in the old markets, but it's starting to be new markets. And that's what's very exciting for us.
Right. So when did you set foot in India?
That would be about 10 years ago.
So how many, let's say, independent agencies? Because we've really seen the emergence of independent agencies only in the last few years. There weren't so many, and there weren't so many professionals taking that leap to start their own companies. So how many independent agencies are really part of your listing or are in panels with you?
Well, we have two levels at which we work with agencies. So there are agencies which we have visited, evaluated, accredited, and we are sending client business to. And that probably now is about between 800 and 900 worldwide. Literally in about 107 countries.
Okay.
So that's that kind of like long list. And then there's a shorter list of agencies which are more proactively involved. So are looking for our help to gain skills, gain new insights, gain partners in other places. And that's around about 200 now.
200 globally?
Yes.
And in India?
In India, we have about 5 or 6 are in that kind of proactive tier.
Right.
And we have another 15 or 20 who are in the broader tier. But part of my objective of being here is to bring some of those into more proactive.
Absolutely. So give me a sense of the thenetworkone business model and how really it functions.
Well, it's very simple. We do not own agencies. We are very flexible. We are a customized network for individual clients.
So obviously your primary job is to go and pitch to clients and get businesses, right?
It's both. It's two things. It's to pitch to clients and get businesses, and it's to visit agencies and see who is really up to that world-class standard.
So would you say that you're the last word in deciding what that mix of agencies will be?
Yes. I mean, obviously, of course, clients make up their own mind, and sometimes the client might disagree with you.
Yeah, sure.
Sometimes the client might say, yeah, if I'm going to travel all the way to Australia, I want to see more than one. Yes, we'll give them 2 or 3 alternatives. But fundamentally, we'll always have a point of view. Who is the best fit?
Okay.
Who's got the right experience, who's got the right capability, but also who's got the right cultural fit as well.
How do you decide that?
The last point, we meet people. We are fundamentally a bespoke matchmaker, and we never visit an agency if we haven't been to the agency, met the principals, looked at the work in situ, checked out the premises. I've been to fake agencies. I've been to agencies that are. I've been to an agency in this country where the principal was actually an arms smuggler.
Wow.
Using advertising as a cover.
Wow.
We made our excuses on that. I couldn't prove it. He might just have been a congenital liar, but no. But there are people that you don't approve. It's the people that you say no to that are as important as the people you say yes to.
Right. Okay. So fair enough. So I'm assuming that you obviously get some kind of commission if that business goes through. So how do you make your money?
Yeah, so we make our money in two main ways. If we introduce business to an agency, we take a finder's fee.
Okay.
Very importantly, it's the same from every agency. Otherwise, there's no objectivity in the process.
Okay.
It's transparent.
So you charge the agent?
Yes, so we charge the agency for introducing business to them, and we'll charge people who are members of our membership program who we're helping to build their business an annual subscription to belong.
And how about charging the client?
Well, we'll charge the client if we're doing more than simply find an agency for them.
Oh, so it's free for the client?
Yes. So the basic service, which is if the client gives us a brief and says, I'm looking for this kind of agency results in this place, it's free for them.
Isn't that a bit unfair?
To who?
To the entire arrangement. If you're getting two people together, right, but you're charging one and you're not charging the other, don't you think it's a bit unfair?
No.
Because they're just having a free lunch. They're using your services but not paying you.
Well, that depends. That depends. Now, if they say, okay, yes, that's great, but I want to visit 10 agencies. I want you to arrange a pitch process. I want you to kind of do some consultancy for me to define what's the nature of my brief. Yes, then we're spending time, and we will charge them for that.
So tell me, how difficult is it for you to convince clients to say, try us out, try independence out, because they might be, more agile, more creative, more with it than, let's say, your traditional network?
People used to think that there's a big pitch and you win everything. And if you look at what happens in the US market, people are spending $500,000 just on a pitch. And this might be 4 different agencies. $2 million are being spent on a pitch for free because they expect there's a huge prize and there's kind of a 10-year assignment and all of this money a year. It doesn't happen today. Clients are not going to they're not going to commit to 10 years. So we're much more keen to introduce a client to an agency and say, let's do a test project. Let's try this. You've got a particular problem. Here's someone who can address that. If the client has a good experience with them. So I think that idea of more project-based work isn't right for every client every time, but it is very prevalent, and it makes the whole independent stuff much easier.
How do you find the client psyche today? I'm only asking you this question because, we saw, let's say, the big recession hit us in 2008. We saw clients becoming extremely cautious. We have this great beast called digital upon us. We see a lot of clients absolutely insecure about the way they're going about their business because it's also new. Agencies are grappling as well. We see conglomerates acquiring different types of agencies, be it digital, data, et cetera, et cetera. They're staffing them up. And basically, one would have to agree that this is a time of chaos by the time we fully understand what we're doing. In such a situation, and we saw, a zillion pitches, media pitches last year. Right? So I'm saying in such a situation, how are companies who are, dealing with their own set of insecurities, dealing with, let's say, trying to experiment with an unknown quotient, here being an independent agency?
Well, there's one phrase that I hear from clients time and again in the last year or 18 months, and it's, we want outcomes and not deliverables. And I think this is where the independents have an opportunity, and a lot of the big networks perhaps are not on the same wavelength as the client. What does outcome not deliverable mean? A deliverable is, I'm going to spend 500 hours on your business, I'm going to produce a TV commercial, a new website, a thing. An outcome is, I'm going to do something that will raise your sales, or raise your image, or have a tangible result. So this is what clients need, because a client doesn't have a security of tenure any more than an agency does. Clients usually change themselves faster than they change agencies. So clients need to see results. And results are much more easy to measure in an internet age, where you can see what people are doing, you can see where people are transacting, you can see what's influencing people than it used to be. So I think that's what the difference we see with clients. The problem for the big agencies is they are publicly owned companies, so they need to have predictable results. An up and a down does not score you points on Wall Street or any other stock market. So they need predictability. So what they want is fixed fees for a long period of time. Whereas an entrepreneurial business will risk having a low return this year if there's a chance of a higher return next year. So they are much more really on the wavelength of what a client needs.
On that note, thanks so much, Julian. Truly a pleasure. Very interesting conversation. And hopefully I'll see you next time you're in town.
Pleasure's mine. I hope so too. Thank you.